hunger, poverty, disease, loneliness. The Ethiopian highlands, starved for centuries by nature and man, caught again in a death grip of drought and famine. The extreme conditions that now prevail have been confirmed by the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, as reported by Atoshimili Sadunya, head of the Ethiopian Relief and Rehabilitation Commission.
He says, and I quote, "I remain particularly concerned about the situation in Ethiopia, where drought, war, and locust infestations have combined to create serious dangers of localized famine. The logistic problems, which had been a major obstacle to the provision of international food relief, have now been partially solved, and the way should be clear for stepped-up food shipments. I have twice drawn the attention of the potential donors to the needs of Ethiopia, but the response has been less than 50% of the requirement, and there is still substantial deficit." Unquote.
We have got 5 regions affected by the drought. These are Tigray, Wallo, Eastern Gondar, Northern Shawa, and Northern Hararge. In Tigray, we've got 561,600 people affected, and that includes the whole 8 awrajas of Tigray. We've got 1,109,869 people affected in Wallo. Out of the 12 awrajas in Wallo, 11 of them are affected, and 3 awrajas in Gondar are affected, and that's estimated at 300,000 people. 1 awraja of Northern.
Those numbers in their millions are hungry human beings. The reality, they can only wait for food and for help from Ethiopia and the outside world that will give them a chance and a future.
We require substantial assistance and immediate assistance. If assistance does not come in time, then it may not as well come, because we could have this grain either in one of our ports or we can have it at its place of origin. The effect it would have on the affected population would be the same.
An important contribution to the relief efforts of the Ethiopian Red Cross has been made by some 30 national Red Cross societies and governments. Their support is being coordinated by the League of Red Cross Societies. Under careful supervision, the emergency supplies are soon on the road. The endless, twisting climb into the mountains takes days. Assab is now over 300 miles behind us. There are 20 tons in each truck, a heavy load to take up these tortuous roads. Desi, high in the mountains, a Red Cross regional warehouse where supplies are unloaded by Red Cross youth volunteers and prepared for the next stage. Food, clothing, and blankets brought in by truck are stored together with valuable medical supplies. These are chosen according to the standardized list of medicaments and equipment for Red Cross medical field teams, drawn up by the World Health Organization and the League of Red Cross Societies. The relevance of assistance has to be closely checked for each specific relief operation. Now the last link must be closed. Four-wheel drive vehicles are barely able to penetrate the wilderness beyond Desi. Places where valuable land has been severely eroded. Mr. Peter Sintin, World Food Programme Advisor to the Ethiopian government, paints a vivid picture of what can be done.
Well, this is very typical of Western Wallow. You've got a lot of pressure on the land. It's cultivated even in steep slopes, which should never be cultivated. You can see the soil erosion where the gullies are forming from the cultivated lands. And when these reach the bottom, of course, the streams carry tremendous silt load. So it's impossible to have any dams down on the lower reaches of these gullies. Everything is overgrazed and overcultivated. We could perhaps improve it with terracing, and we have got a lot of terracing programs. We also want to cultivate these very steep slopes with terracing and then putting trees so that they are protected from all livestock. We found that we can only get this protection once the trees have been planted. It has been very difficult, even using food incentives, to persuade farmers' associations to keep the livestock off the slopes.
In addition, the Ethiopian government has started moving 250,000 people who cannot survive on their own drought-impoverished land to areas where soil and climate will give them hope for the future. 1979 will be a critical year for these people. Extensive international help is urgently required for the successful completion of those programs now being carried out in Ethiopia by the League of Red Cross Societies.
Our resources are limited. We are among the least developed countries of the world. And this being the case, our resources cannot cope with the problem. We need the assistance and support of the international community. We are at the moment on the verge of launching a national campaign to produce more food in Ethiopia. And the support we require from the external world is not only for relief purposes and to perpetuate relief, but to enable us to produce more food and develop our own self-reliance so that we'll be able to contain our own problems with our own resources using our own people. La ላላይ ኩርማንጋ ፈይላለሁ ላላይ ኩርማንጋ ፈይላለሁ ላላይ ኩርማንጋ ፈይላለሁ ላላይ ኩርማንጋ ፈይላለሁ ላላይ እንደምን ነው ቆቦ ላላይ ለሬቱ ጥንጭፎ ላላይ የተፈ ወንድ ላይ ላላይ የሚጠቃ